There are over 2 billion school-aged individuals living in the world today. That's more young people than any other time in human history. And it's this generation's creativity, their actions, their art, their poetry, their protests, their questions, their code, their dreams. It's this generation's ideas that will define the future of our world. One well-articulated idea can reach and inspire millions. That's why TED's Youth and Education Initiative, TEDed, has created a program that's dedicated to sparking and celebrating the best ideas of young people around the world.
The essence of TEDed was to create more confident individuals.
It was our club. It was run by us and it was for us.
The program is called TEDed Clubs. It supports students in identifying their passions, learning public speaking skills, connecting with a global network of classrooms, and sharing student ideas in the form of short, TED-style talks. Here's how it works. Participating students and teachers gain access to a free and flexible curriculum they can use to start a TEDed club at their school. Each suggested meeting uses TED Talks to help students engage in critical thinking exercises and gain invaluable presentation skills. In the final meeting, students are invited to give their own TED Talk, and if they record their talk, they can upload it to TEDed's award-winning platform, where it can be referenced on a resume, a college application, and shared with participating clubs around the world. Over 2 billion young people empowered and encouraged to share their ideas. Imagine that future and bring TEDed clubs to your community today.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yobosa Afe, and today I'll be giving you my thoughts on what I think individuality really is. You see, most people try to fit in through any means, although they may have to go through many different things. Others choose to be brave and stand out, as they do not believe in forming trends while spacing everything else out. I am one of those others. You see, I used to think that doing things differently was wrong, as we were all made the same. Mistake number 1. God made me differently, and through hard times and good times, I thank Him for that. Do the same. You may not look like me, talk like me, not even think like me. That is because you are an individual. And if you want to be a good individual, separating yourself from others, pointing out the differences between you and someone else is your first step. You see, my family, my friends, and my teachers at school have always told me to stay true to myself, stay true to my God, and stay true to Jesus Christ. You see, if I obey what they say, then I will be a true individual, and that will guide me through the rest of my life. Thank you for listening to me.
Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to TEDxYouth MeadowHallLekki. My name is Tunduro Lugbenro, your 9th student at Meadow Hall, and I will be your host for today. There's a lot to look forward to as we bring you our premier TEDx event, and we're really excited that you could join us today. Thank you very much. We have an amazing array of student speakers ready to share their ideas with you. After all, that's what TED is about, ideas worth spreading. The theme of this year's event is Explore, and yes, we are set to explore. We welcome very specially the founder and CEO of Meadow Hall, Dr. Kehinde Unwani, the education leadership team members, and distinguished Meadow Hall students and parents. We are also happy to receive students and staff from various Asian schools joining us today. Throughout this event, please make use of the chat room in sharing your feedback. And remember to tag us online using the hashtag TEDxYouthMeadowHallLekki. We will have some games as we move on in today's event, and the fastest finger wins, so get ready. We are now ready to receive our first speaker. But first, we will take an introductory message from the lead organizer of TEDxYouth MeadowHallLekki, Mr. Venga Samuel.
Hello, and welcome once again to our TEDx event. We are extremely glad you could join us today. As you know, TED is all about sparking curiosity and spreading ideas worth sharing, and both are central to what we do here at Meadow Hall, encouraging our children to develop not just in academic areas, but also in non-academic areas. This year, we're looking at the theme, Explore, and that's really our desire for every child. We don't just want our children to settle with the results of just our own thinking or their generation. We want them to dare. We want them to challenge the norm, not just to think outside the box, but if you like, create a new box entirely. And that's why we're looking at the theme, Explore. TEDx is a great platform to promote students' voice, to challenge our students to think critically and help them develop invaluable presentation skills. Because it's this generation's creativity, their action, their arts, their poetry, their questions, their dreams that would define the future of our world. And now, I invite you to receive and enjoy from the comfort of your home 11 amazing speakers and 3 very interesting presentations. Enjoy.
11-year-old Joshua Agbola is a programmer, future skills activist, YouTuber, and speaker on technology topics. He has built a few games, apps, and websites to his credit. More recently, he won the grand prize for the MTN Impulse Tech Hackathon with a pitch for KagoCar, a voice-activated educational app powered by artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Joshua Agbola.
Hi, Joshua Agbola in the house. I am 11 years. I am the founder of Just for Tech, a programmer, a YouTuber, and also a future skills activist. I guess you might be wondering or you might be thinking, hey, what's a future skills activist and what do you do? Well, I go around advocating for people to buy expensive tickets from Elon Musk's SpaceX, take a summer holiday trip on one of his rockets to the moon. Just kidding. I am actually an advocate for the teaching of technology skills to school kids early and also the integration of programming as a core subject in the school curriculum. You might be wondering again, why am I passionate about this? 2 main reasons. One, my personal story has taught me, and very importantly, the massive opportunities that I see technology presents to the future of the younger generation to which I belong. I always say that the best time to learn programming is when you are very young. Why? Because the hard disks of your mind would have been filled with too many stuff, and also the RAM of your brain doesn't have too many adult life applications like rents, bills, school fees, putting on it and slowing it down. I was just 5 when my dad sent me to my first computer summer class. They said that it was for people of my older sister's age and I wouldn't comprehend or understand what was being taught in class. My dad told them, you know what, guys, create his own curriculum for him. And by the end of the program, with his assistance, he begged them, they got to some meetings, and with his assistance, they allowed me to join the program. And by the end of that program, they were surprised at what a 5 or 6-year-old boy could do. Right now, at 11 years, I can program in JavaScript, C++, C#, Python, Java, and a few server-side languages and databases. And I also currently build some apps, and one of my apps currently won a National Tech Hackathon. But my dad had to stick his neck out to give me an head start in the tech space. My story demonstrates that a child can do more if he or she is given an opportunity. While many people call me a prodigy, I think what I have done can also be replicated with other kids if they get an early exposure too. I believe my experience shows that a kid can do much if given an opportunity. However, there are quite a number of restrictions or controls that are now placing a cap on what we young people can do and achieve. I believe that these barriers should be removed. For example, sometime last year, I tried to register for a training program on Cisco Networking Academy, on cybersecurity and IoT, and was asked for my age. I put it in, I wanted to join the program, and when I put it in, they told me that, hey, you're not qualified to join any course. I was furious, angry, and not again, I thought. Apologies if you're wondering what an UAR is, or UAR, as I call it. A UAR is my created acronym for Uninformed Adult Restriction. In my few years of joining the tech space, I have met UARs or UARs everywhere. For instance, Google won't even allow me to open a normal email until I'm 13. The email I get from my age only allows me to watch YouTube Kids. Excuse me? Why should I spend my available time at 11 years watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Mary at the Little Lamb nursery rhymes when I can invest it and spend it on the fundamentals or watching the fundamentals of UI or UX design on the real YouTube? I know that you will tell me that these controls or these restrictions are put in place to ensure that kids are protected from age-inappropriate content and also to shield them from cyber attacks and bullying. I understand this concept of age-inappropriate content, especially for entertainment, and I totally agree with the idea. Yeah, even me, I created a swear word remover to help shield kids from curse words, swear words that are likely to affect them while browsing online content. You can check that out in my GitHub. My question is, why are adults facing restrictions or limitations on learning technology? I don't quite get that. Who says because I am 11, I can't seem to understand the basics of artificial intelligence or machine learning? Who says because a kid is 8 or 9, the fundamentals of networking and cybersecurity will be too hard for him or her to comprehend? Why can't we even teach the principles of data analysis from 4th or 5th grade, starting, for example, with data visualization, which kids can better relate to? I think in an attempt to protect kids, some things have been taken a little bit too far, particularly in the tech space, and are not denying young people the opportunity to access the information they need to innovate and unleash their creativity in life. What I'm trying to say is that I and many other kids have gone a little further in our tech pursuits, if not for UARs that have been denying us the access to valuable content that have helped us gain knowledge and also valuable skills faster. Apart from undue restrictions to knowledge access, there is also a way larger and bigger problem of outdated and out-of-step school curriculum. This time in my school, I am taking a subject in Information and Communications Technology. As you may guess, this is one of my best subjects. However, I was taken aback when on that programming, the ICT teacher told us that we were going to learn the basic programming language. Can you imagine? Wait, that language was introduced in 1964, back in the days of the baby boomers, when my grandfather was probably even in his diapers. But to avoid being labeled arrogant, I listened curiously and carefully to the class on basic programming, and surprisingly, I found some similarities between it and coding in Python. This taught me that sometimes in life, there's value with listening without bias. However, I would like to expect the teacher to start his instruction to programming fundamentals, maybe using Scratch or even Python. But what choice has he? Basic is what is in our subject curriculum for my class as given by the government ministry in charge of education. And they have to teach it even if it's an expired, outdated, and not even used program. By the way, BASIC stands for Beginners All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code, and is one of the earliest high-level languages. For all you Generation Z and Generation Alpha people that are wondering, what is this boy talking about? My experience demonstrates how outdated and out-of-step school curriculum is being taught in schools with negative implications for the future. Today, some tertiary institutions in Africa are still offering programming classes in Pascal, even though the language is even dead and has been taken over by programming in C. In Lagos, where I live today, some schools are still teaching word processing today using typewriters instead of PCs or laptops. Imagine grabbing those metal machines and typing ASDF:LKG. Interesting, right? In a world that advanced to touchscreen, the students end up learning punch typing instead of touch typing. I believe we are an underestimated generation, trapped in a box of limitation, created by the ignorance of our abilities and existing in the mind of adults. And with the opinion that the reason for the overstretching of the concept of age-appropriate content into the learning space is because most of us don't have a hoot of an idea of what we young people are capable of when given an opportunity. In my rising above the constraining opinions of adults, I have made this word of the Bible my motivating force. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example. I've come to tell you that I and many other kids can do much more than adults can even imagine. I want you to know that we are capable of more. We can learn faster and innovate much more quickly. The kids of today are going to live in a digital, pervasive future, and I am therefore advocating for the overhauling of the school curriculum to teach syllabus and the syllabus to teach knowledge and skills that are more relevant to the future in which we kids are going to live. We should integrate content that prepare young people for the industry and marketplace early in the curriculum. Programming also must be integrated as a core subject from elementary school. I've come to appeal for the barriers and controls that limit learning to be revealed, while seeking safe ways for children to learn online. We need to remove the unnecessary restrictions to skill acquisition. We must also be mindful not to shackle their ability to explore and be inspired early. Of course, we also need more adults like my dad and my mom to believe in the ability and capacity of us kids to learn more and do more. And like him, we have to create more opportunities for kids to unleash their creativity and talents and innovation for the benefit of our world. I conclude by borrowing some words from Walfrado Immersion, and it says, "The mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimension." I say, the young mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimension. Thank you, and God bless you.
Whoa, that was simply amazing. Lots of wise nuggets there. I would like you to share what resonated with you from Joshua's talk in the chat box.
Mofoloshayi Adekombi is an innovative Year 9 student from Meadow Hall College. She is an award-winning mathematician. She looks forward to studying bioinformatics or computational biology in university to find cures to many diseases and find health solutions to help people from less privileged homes get quality health care at affordable prices using artificial intelligence. Please make welcome Mofoloshayi Adekombi as she speaks about computing to be better and not bitter.
No competition, no progress. This is a statement that has been washed down over the years due to the fact that the modern world believes that the elimination of competition will produce a new mindset of being confident in your work, but in reality, never having the need to improve it. This kind of mindset is slowly but surely spreading throughout the world, and I disagree with it. Good day, my name is Mofolushayo Adekombi, a 9th grade student from Meadow Hall College, Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm here to tell you my story. This is the story of a girl who only had 10 months to learn the entire junior secondary math curriculum as a year 6 student. This is the story of learning, crying, and of course, the never-ending mind games of I could have or I should have. It all started on a simple month of May in 2017, where a new mathematics competition was gaining popularity. My dad had found this and found it quite intriguing and showed it to me, knowing that I had a lot of potential, and encouraged me to participate. I remember watching videos about the competition and thinking to myself, I can do this, I can win this. From that day onwards, I began prepping for the competition, with the help of my parents, who got me books, downloaded videos, and got me after-school tutors to groom me for the competition. I wasn't only studying for the competition, I was also studying for my common entrance examination. So every day, I would come home, study, read a book, maybe have some fun, study more, have a lesson, and watch a couple of fun fact videos to cool my head off from studying. Finally, the first round of the competition came, and I went into the examination hall feeling like a boss, and I came out feeling like a boss. Later in the month, the results of the competition came out, and I came second amongst many students from 300 schools. I remember hearing the news and bubbling like a bottle of champagne. From that day onwards, my preparation intensified, from having make-believe quizzes with my brother as my quiz master to the countless word problem videos I watched during the weekends. At this point, I knew I could either become first or second in the final and deciding round. The real day of the quiz came with my head filled with all the knowledge I had gained along the way. I was ready. Yes, I still had the sweaty palms and the twisted stomach, but I was ready. I was ready to deep dive into the deep end. The award ceremony came later in the day, and I was scared. The tension had built up in my shoulders, and I was in pain. I didn't understand what was going on. As they were calling from 20th to 11th position, my hands became sweatier. As they called for 10th to 6th position, I was getting super scared. When they got to top 5, I kept breathing heavily. Finally, they called 4th position. I didn't want to hear my name majoritarily, but they did call my name, and I was sad. I was disappointed and proud at the same time. I didn't know how to feel. Later on in the car, I wouldn't forget what my dad had told me that day. He said, everything I learned throughout this competition is mine and mine to keep forever. Through the days, I did have a bit of regret, like I could have said this or I could have said that. There was I could have said like 6, median, 1/2, or the thoughts that came through my mind as I did math tests to recheck and recheck and recheck. If only I had just taken an extra moment or second to recheck in the competition, maybe I could have come first. But everything I learned from that one competition has been carrying me throughout the whole of junior secondary school, not just in math, but the ability to go over and over my work, to always study ahead of my class, and of course, the ability to stretch myself beyond my limits and to reach for the best. The competition opened my eyes to see that the real world isn't my school, it isn't my country, it isn't my state, and it's not even my continent. It's the 195 countries with over 7.8 billion people who have as much potential as me. What makes the difference and what makes our world progress is the ability for us to push ourselves to our limits, to the best of our abilities. The English dictionary defines competition as the activity or condition of striving to gain or win something by defeating others or establishing superiority over others. However, I would like to redefine competition, not as a way to gain superiority, not as a way to defeat others, and not as a way to lower others' self-esteem, but as a way to encourage others to see that what they defined as impossible is really possible, because they can see that others can do it, and they realize that they can do this as well, and they can win it. And as I go into the next chapter of my secondary school life, the new things I'm learning, the extra classes I am taking, the after-school studies I'm doing, the new passions and hobbies I am perfecting, and of course, the new friends I am taking and the old ones I am keeping, that all lead up to the many competitions ahead of me that will shape my life forever. Finally, I would like to end with this. I was shown the deep end of the pool and I dipped my toes into it. I prepared well and I dove into the water. I drowned a couple of times, yes, in the deep end, but I had the right lifeguards to get me out. And finally, now I can swim 1 billion times better than I ever could have if I never dove into the deep end. Always remember this quote by Jacob Kindleberger. Don't knock your competitors. By boosting others, you will boost yourself. A little competition is a good thing and severe competition is a blessing. Thank God for competition. Thank you.
Mofapefolowa is a year 10 student of Meadow Hall College, passionate about equality and human rights. She looks forward to studying economics in university to help her start up an NGO to support people of all races, ages, gender, and size to achieve equality. Her talk is inspired by her passion for being unique rather than being compared to others around her. She will be speaking on Second Best. Please make welcome MofapefolowaLekki.
Second place. First to lose, but not by choice. Second best. For some context, I'm the second of all my sisters. We're 4, so you can imagine what that's like for my dad, with us being all girls. Recently, my sister left for college, and I had to take on the responsibility of taking care of my younger sisters. Not to say I'm not already responsible, but like I had a system, and fitting my younger sisters into the system was going to be hard. When I was 12 years old, I had a realization. I was second child, second daughter, second sister, second best. Seeing how I had always been second to my sister, I noticed how different but similar I was, and to everyone and everything, I had seen it now. It started with looks and how when she smiled, she looked so happy and she looked so pretty, and then when I smiled, I looked unhappy. Then I could see it in our grades, answering the exact same questions with the exact same time limits at the exact same age with the same amount of pressure. She got them right and I got them wrong. Eventually, it reached our relationship with our sisters, about how they liked her more than they liked me. And I was fine with that. To start, I've always struggled with confidence, insecurity, grades, responsibility, and I've had my fair share of not so good grades. Then it stemmed into personality and everyday minor comments of, if Fee, who's my sister, were here, she would have done it this way. If Fee was here, she would have said it that way. Why can't she do it the exact same way Fee did it? But how am I supposed to do that if I'm not Fee? How am I supposed to do that if I'm not her? In the schooling aspect, I have been doing well. Never struggled with school, and neither did my older sister. We both have different aspirations and we plan to do different things in life. And even though we grew up in the same learning environment, we always had to do the same sports, with the same classes, with the same teachers, with the same grades, with the same everything. I'm sure, like me, my sister may have struggled mentally. But she was too strong and too resilient to let herself be even vulnerable around myself. I can't imagine what it felt like for her, having that pressure of being the best, letting herself set an expectation for my sisters and I to follow, being responsible, taking on that motherly figure when my mom wasn't at home. And for that, even though it's a hard expectation to live up to, I applaud her. Regardless of this, we always had a sense of understanding, knowing that I struggled in some aspects that she was not so good at and vice versa. For this reason, we always had a balance. It's very necessary for me to point out that my sister and I had always gone to the same school, with the same environment, and many people always compared me to my sister and even noticed our similarities. And I had no problem with this. One year, a teacher even called me by my sister's name, but I didn't take this to heart because our names are quite similar. After all my efforts to maintain my sister's perfect image, I began making my own. And the weight of her admirable spirits became a burden upon my shoulders. I had always set it in my head that I would always be second best to my sister. I would either do the same thing or something better to make myself even worthy of being her sister. My sister clearly left an impact in this school. One I'd like to think that she's very, very proud of. One I'd like to probably make one day. I myself, wanting to leave a mark in this school, had to try so hard not to fall under her shadow, not to be just like her, not to be just one of her sisters, not to be just another copy. I've always been second best. Looks, personality, grades, responsibility, I have always been second best. Always having to do better or make competition with my sister or make improvements in areas where she had made mistakes. Again, we had a balance, but this balance started to take some weight on some sides because I didn't want to be just her sister. We drifted apart because I began making demarcations within our sisterly relationship. I've always been second best, whether anybody chose to assure me of it or even remind me of it or not. Today, I see that being second best is not such a bad thing. I see that being second best helped me push myself to not just be my sister's sister, not just to be my father's daughter, but to be myself. And though I still compare myself to my sister today, which is something I struggle with, I no longer see it as just wanting to be her sister, and I'm no longer in a race to be just like my sister, but in a race to be better than me, making a better me in this world. I'm Ofokpefolo Aleshi, and that is my story on being second best. Thank you. Remember how I said the theme of today's TEDx event is explore? Well, as we go on today, I'm going to be exploring different locations here at Meadow Hall, Lekki, Lagos. Right now, I'm at the school zoo. Can you see the ostrich? Well, my first question is based on the animal kingdom. We have administrators in the chat room watching out for the first correct response. So here's the question. Which animal never sleeps? A, an ostrich. B, a kangaroo. C, a kangaroo rat. And D, a bullfrog. You've got 10 seconds to answer the question.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, time's up. The correct answer is D, bullfrog.
At age 7, Stacy was the youngest writer in the continent, if not the world. Over the years, she has positioned herself as the best international multiple award-winning child author of chapter books. Stacy is also the custodian of the first ever annual African Children of the Year Awards, hosted to coincide with the Universal Children's Day every November in Johannesburg. Stacy Fru will be speaking on Living Your Dream, the Why. Joining us from South Africa, please make welcome Stacy Fru.
I am the 7-year-old who took the world by surprise when I wrote my first book without my parents' knowledge. You may have to watch my other talks in which I explained that morning I'd finished writing, I burst into my parents' bedroom to announce that I'd written a story about cats. Unfortunately for me, my mother did not believe me. She thought it was a school project, so she dismissed me and told me that my computer teacher would be very proud. Do I look like the type of person to give up to you? No. I convinced my mother to read my book. And then after that, my mother, alongside my father, published my first book under the title Smelly Cats. That was around 6 years ago. And today, I stand before you as a published author of 5 chapter books. Actually, what need is there in me telling you my life story if you do not know why I decided to become an author? My why begins with a little girl from Johannesburg in Africa. I had set out to explore a dream. Of course, everyone can write, and of course, everyone can become an author. But the fact is, many authors don't have their books or even their names remembered. One of the reasons being is that us authors do not share our why with our prospective book buyers. Famous TEDx talker Simon Sinek, in his talk titled How Great Leaders Inspire Action, explains that the reason why many items do not sell well, in my case books, are because the producers do not share their why with their consumers. Hence, the consumers now miss out on why they should buy the product because they miss out on why the product was created in the first place. Once you get a deeper understanding of Simon Sinek's talk, you begin to understand that this is why great leaders make great decisions, and how knowing your why and sharing your why can impact your community, your country, your continent, and the rest of the world. Permit me to tell you a typical story of exploration by a young African child. His name is Kelvin Doe. Kelvin was born in October 1996 in Sierra Leone. At age 11, Kelvin would play with some broken electronics which he found in the garbage. But by age 15, Kelvin had already built his own radio station. At age 16, Kelvin became the youngest visiting engineering lecturer at the Massachusetts University of Technology in the United States of America. Kelvin and his mother went to the White House on invitation, and if that's not impressive enough, Kelvin is one of the most respected inventors from Africa. He has met with presidents and even spoken on global stages. Kelvin's story, and many other stories, shows us that success, though relative, can be achieved through persistence, self-belief, and hard work. If you have an idea that you want to put out there, go ahead. Do it over and over and over again until you get a breakthrough. Let me let you in on a little secret, just between us. Adults are constantly looking for children to support. Two things you need. Thrive in being yourself. Thrive in your interest. Being an author who is also an avid reader, my talk today is aimed at privileged parents. Parents, get your children gifts of books before you get them gifts of gadgets. But I also want to remind you that nothing in a child's life is impossible with the help of their parents. Take me, for example. The belief that people hold within me is the reason why I am a child prodigy, an international multiple award-winning author, a public speaker, a philanthropist, founder of the Stacey Fruit Foundation, an activist, an analyst, a mentor, and a coach. Being all these things, sure, do make up who I am as Stacey Fruit. Living my dream and writing. Yes, living a dream I never knew I had, because by the time I started my journey, I was too young to understand what it truly meant to dream. And you there, wherever you might be watching this, in whatever position you may be sitting at, you are living your dream consciously or subconsciously. Ever since living my dream, I seem to have forgotten about the harsh scripts that govern our everyday lives. Can I tell you a story? My parents have 4 children, but this story takes place in a time when there were only 3 of us, so you can imagine that we were quite young at the time. Sunday afternoon, sometime in 2010, we were coming back from church and my mother decided, let's do some Sunday shopping. There we were in the shopping center, my mother, my older brother, myself, and my youngest sister. While walking, one of us gets occupied by something in the glass wall. They keep on looking, while my mother and her other 2 children keep on traveling. A few minutes later, my mother looks down and realizes one of us were missing. Panic sets in. Hysteria sets in. My mother's first thought is to go to more security, so that's what she does. Security leads her to a back room where she finds her child sitting peacefully with a lollipop in their mouth. This child was only 3 at the time. They had no idea what they were doing or what they did wrong. My mother, with tears in her eyes, was just relieved in her heart to be finally met with her child. This might be a little bit embarrassing, but in that story, I am, in fact, the 3-year-old. And to my defense, I had no idea what was going on at the time, and the only recollection I have of those events were the stories told afterwards. Stories told at family gatherings, like a joke to incite little laughs. It was all a joke until November 2016, at my second book launch. One of my brother's friends, called Joshua, had gone missing. Joshua's mother started panicking and immediately started thinking of the worst case scenarios. Other parents were now also in a panicky state, checking to see if all their children were there and making sure everyone was fine. We immediately alerted security, and although the search took only 20 minutes, to us it felt like a lifetime. Luckily, Joshua was found unharmed, strolling in a game shop, oblivious to what was happening outside. Over the course of the next few weeks, these same 2 stories kept on getting told to me over and over again. And it got me thinking, how many children are unaware of the public dangers? How many children are aware of the precautions you must take while in public? That being said, I went up to my parents and I was like, Mom, Dad, I would like to teach children on how to keep safe. My parents agreed, not like I'd let them disagree anyway, and we went to the Department of Community Safety in Gauteng. We got to meet the MEC, who agreed with our proposal and even agreed on a collaboration. I thought to myself, how can I make this both fun and informative for children my age? So I created a short play. This play included myself, my 3 siblings, and 2 family friends. We went to 4 Gauteng schools and influenced over 8,000 primary school learners. This was the beginning of the safety and security campaign. Little did we know that these events would also inspire my 5th book, titled Where is Tammy? Where is Tammy covers topics such as child abduction and child trafficking. Those events are also the reason why I am the safety and security activist you see today. The Stacey Free Foundation, established in 2018 when I was 9 years old. Nobody knew that the amount of lives I would change as Stacey Free would be so great. Take, for example, a campaign titled the African Book a Child campaign. This campaign is solely focused on giving poor or underprivileged African children books on Africa or books by African authors. First, our thoughts were just to focus on rural South Africa before expanding. But much to our amazement, these books have reached the lengths of Ghana, of Egypt, of Cameroon, of Namibia, and even India. Another campaign, for example, titled Know Your Countries, under the online television channel titled CTV SA, where we focus on teaching African children about Africanism, where we teach African children more about their own continent to wipe the ignorant look off their faces. Before the pandemic struck in the year 2020, the foundation also used to host another event called Reading and Writing Sessions for All. In these sessions, we didn't only focus on underprivileged children, we now took children from all different types of backgrounds. We even took adults. Within these sessions, we were looking for fun and creative ways in which we can introduce literacy more into the community without it seeming forceful. Now, they always say leave the best for last. That is exactly what I've done. The African Children of the Year Awards. These awards fulfill my dream of recognizing the African child. It is the biggest long-term project that will stretch my vision of the Stacey Frew Foundation. These awards, held annually in November, this foundation and its partners choose children between the ages of 7 and 13 who are impacting their community in positive ways. Some of the past winners include Lene Juste from South Africa, Tanya Muzinda from Zimbabwe, Shana Manjaro from Kenya, and DJ Switch from Ghana. The awards have managed to influence over 100 children from 15 different African countries. If you look at my 5 books, you will come across 5 stories of dreams. These dreams could be my dreams projected through my characters, or these dreams can be the dreams of my fictional characters in their own fictional universe. And while drafting this TEDx talk, it made me realize, just like the winners and participants of the African Children of the Year Awards, my characters are living their dreams as well. Now, if you have been listening keenly to what I've been saying, the stories of Kelvin Doe and Stacey Frew are quite similar. What got them from point A to point B was not their dream or their ability to dream. What got them there was the support from others, but also their willingness to accept criticism and construction. Once you are able to accept criticism and construction, it makes you realize your flaws as a human being. It makes you realize your weaknesses, but also your talents and those that you have already improved on. I'll use myself as an example again. Younger Stacey was afraid of criticism. She thought that she always had to be right. And she had to learn the hard way that through rejection, there are some pros. Through rejection, you can realize your flaws. You can rebuild yourself and your character to try again. I always like to recall my first ever public speech, which was delivered to 1,200 high school learners in their last year. In this talk, I talked about when you achieve something so great, so powerful, you are placing a burden onto others. Those others now feel a burden of joy and happiness and want to continue this train of empowerment. Some people might even take you under their wing and mentor you, provide you with constant reassurance and emotional support. Let's summarize. A summary of me living my dream is that I have grown to where I am today because of the support I have received, but also the support I have given, not because I am able to do what I have done. I love talking to children because I hope that my story can one day influence them. But I love talking to adults even more. Do you want to know why? Because of my parents' support. My parents' support have allowed me to explore. My parents' support have given me this platform to speak to you today, but also given me a platform to live my dream. My parents have empowered me to ask you guys one question. What is your why? And as we part ways today, how are you going to start, continue, or improve living your dream? Ask yourself, are you happy, purposeful, passionate, and powerful? I thank you.
Abdulmalik Hosseini is a 15-year-old smart and inquisitive boy from the Makoko community, Lagos State. Malik has always been curious about how the world of science and technology works to provide solutions in our immediate environment. During the pandemic, Abdulmalik leveraged his ability to build a COVID-19 social distance alert system and traffic light monitor. Abdulmalik will be speaking on my social distance alert device invention. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Abdulmalik.
I live in Makoko, a low-income slum where most houses are made up of woods over the water of Lagos Lagoon in Nigeria. Most buildings in our community are made up of hardwoods and supported by pillars that are driven deep into the waterbed so that the house can stand firmly. Our settlement lacks some basic social amenities such as electricity, schools, and healthcare facilities. Growing up over the years, I've seen some first-hand challenges living in a slum community. Some of these challenges are lack of quality education, child abuse, early teenage pregnancy, lack of electricity. And there's also a high rate of dropout of school kids. I would like to share a story of my friend who started primary school at the age of 9. Then he came to me and said, I won't be able to go to school because of my age. Then I said to him, age shouldn't be a barrier in achieving your dreams. Age shouldn't be an opposing element in whoever you want to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. After his primary education, he was admitted to junior secondary school and one of the best students in spelling bee competition. He's now a victor rather than being a victim. He didn't allow his challenges, he didn't allow his environment to determine his future. And there are a whole lot of kids who are doing great things in Makoko community. And that is why my community is special. The children are the soul for our settlement, and education is the best currency for the better future. And this is the reality. During the lockdown, where most students in my community were not opportune to go to school, and the pandemic taking all over the world like a storm. Luckily for me, I was given an opportunity to participate in the robotics summer camp. And through this camp, I was able to learn a lot beyond my expectation in terms of coding and programming, building of digital circuits, presentation skills, and game creation. Then I asked myself, what is my responsibility to take in this situation? What is my major role to play as a future ambassador of my community? Along the line, I was given a robotics kit for me to build my own project during the summer camp. Then I was working independently and relentlessly for me to create one. Surprisingly, I was able to come across an idea of building a social distance alert device, which will help to notify people at least 1 meter proximity within the next person. So my goal of creating this social distance alert device is to help to minimize the spread of the virus and also preserving my lives because life matters. This social distance alert device is made up of some essential components because without this component, my device will not be able to function properly. These components are the Arduino Nano. The Arduino Nano serves as a microcontroller board which you can use to build your electronic project. If I may ask, without our brain, can our whole body function? It can't, right? Because our brain is also part of our body system. And this goes to my Arduino Nano. This is where my codes and programming are stored. Secondly, I also make use of the ultrasonic sensor. The ultrasonic sensor is used to convert electricity to sound waves. And with the help of these sound waves, it can help to determine the distance of an object, either it is far or near. Thirdly, I make use of jumper wires. The jumper wires helps to transfer electric current from one component to another. I also make use of a breadboard. A breadboard is used to connect different components so that electricity can run through them. And lastly, I made use of codes and programming. Specifically, I made use of PictoBlocks. PictoBlocks is the programming software which you can use to code a circuit, create games and animation stories. According to a popular quote by Tim Fago, he said, "Until you cross over the bridge of your insecurities, you can't begin to explore your possibilities." So no doubt the pandemic has had a significant impact on world economies and human survival. But it has also challenged us to be more adaptive and resilient. It has stirred up our creative potentials and encouraged us to be our best. I believe everyone has a unique talent and potential. Never give up in exhibiting these talents you possess. It may be singing, it may be drawing, it may be designing. Because the greatest discovery you can make is self-discovery. Once you can discover yourself, it will help to open the door for every discoveries and opportunities in the world for you. Because of my invention, I was featured on several media platforms where I shared my idea and my voice has been heard in this community, Makoko. My future ambition is to design the first spaceship in Nigeria and also to study at the MIT. But before I leave, I would like to share a poem with you, which I composed during the lockdown. A pandemic hit the world like an asteroid. Numerous people fighting for their precious lives like a samurai. People are dying every day. Numerous lives are led astray. Schools were shut down, which allows students to be a dropout. People are striving every day, yet hunger increases day by day. What future are we preserving for the next generation without using our imagination? Thank you.
Imisioluwa Obafisoye is a year 9 student at Meadow Hall College, passionate about cooking and ICT. He looks forward to studying computer science. Imisioluwa will be talking about gender inequality. Please make welcome Imisioluwa Obafisoye.
Maya Angelou, Malala, and Mother Teresa. What do all three of these icons have in common? They have all experienced at least some sort of gender inequality at some point in their lives. Hello, my name is Imisioluwa Obafisoye, and welcome to my talk. According to Wikipedia, gender inequality is the social process by which men and women are not treated as equals. The treatment may arise from differences regarding biology, psychology, or cultural norms. Some of these distinctions are empirically grounded, while others appear to be socially constructed. My mom left the house one day and let her housekeeper know that I'll be doing a lot of house chores. After she had left and it was time for me to do them, she had already done them. My mom got home and asked if I had done them, so I'd explained everything to her. When asked why the housekeeper didn't let me do the chores, she simply explained that it was because I was a man. My mom corrected her, letting her know that my gender does not exempt me from house chores. At the time, I didn't understand why being a man automatically meant I wasn't supposed to do chores. That was until my mom sat me down and explained everything to me. I pondered on the housekeeper's ideology for quite a while, wondering why someone would believe such things. The concept of gender inequality was new to me, so it took a while for me to even comprehend such beliefs. Little did I know that, lo and behold, situations like this were occurring all over the world. Take Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, for example. Look at how she rose and became not only the first African head of WTO, but also the first female to ever do so. This comes to show that as long as you put your mind to it, gender won't matter if you want to be in a high position. Research shows that in most countries, women only earn between 60 to 75% of men's wages for the same job. That comes to show that doing the same thing for the same amount of time, with the same requirements met, can bring different yields depending on gender? How exactly can this be? Basing people's salaries on their gender only shows how serious gender inequality is. For those of you who don't know, there are 3 main areas of gender inequality under an index. This index, called the Gender Inequality Index, measures inequality in 3 parts: reproductive health, based on maternal mortality ratio and adolescent birth rates; empowerment, based on proportion of parliamentary seats occupied by females and proportion to adult females aged 25 and older; and economic status, based on labor market participation rates of female and male populations aged 15 and older. The US is one of only 8 countries in the world that does not provide any form of paid maternity leave, meaning there are 8 countries in the world that believe that women should sort themselves out if they have to give birth. How can there be such things practiced only because of a person's gender? Gender inequality in Nigeria is influenced by different cultures and beliefs. In most parts of Nigeria, women are considered subordinate in different sectors, including the Nigerian music industry. It is generally believed that women are best suited as homekeepers. This reflects my story quite perfectly, as the housekeeper actually did believe that women are meant to be the housekeepers, being the reason behind her doing my chores that day. This should not be, as everyone should see both men and women as equals to do the same jobs while getting the same income. Did you know that only 24% of national parliamentarians were women as of November 2018, a small increase from 11.3% in 1995? Only goes to show how women are seen, even the highest of occupations. Did you know that also 35% of women have experienced physical and/or sexual violence at least once in their lives? Of course, there are ways that even you and I can put a stop to gender inequality by reducing socialization by parents and other adults of girls and boys into traditional gender roles. We can ease the lifestyle into homes all around the world instead of the common stereotypes we are living on. We can also build diversity and inclusion into our culture. This will help a lot of people around the world understand that male or female, we are all equals and should be treated as such. If you, and even I start treating women equally, we can put an end to gender inequality. Then gender won't matter before job opportunities, career development, equal pay, and so many other areas where the stereotype mentality exists. Thank you.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet. Move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like today, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, have each other. And for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Whoa, whoa, we will rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you.
Karis Anthony Ogbimi is a year 7 student here at Meadow Hall College. She's going to be speaking on Mistakes Don't Define You. Please make welcome Karis Anthony Ogbimi.
I used to think that mistakes define you and they haunt you forever and they'd be your burden to bear for the rest of your life, but they don't and they aren't. Mistakes have the ability to turn you into something great and turn you into something good. Mistakes are a fact of life. Mistakes are a key to success. Success is nothing without mistakes. Mistakes come and then success follows at the doorstep. The world may take a notice of every one little mistake that you may make, but it's not the end of the world, and it's how you recover from those mistakes that will shape you and turn your image into something beautiful. My name is Karis Anthony Ogbimi, and I'm here to tell you about how your mistakes do not define you. Mistakes are proof that you are trying, and that proof is very essential in life. There are some things that you do in your life that your mistakes might judge you, but they will not. When you make mistakes, it just shows that you are human. Mistakes aren't avoidable. Mistakes are a part of life. Mistakes are the pathway to success and growth, and we can't shy away from that fact. Mistakes have the power to turn you into something better than you were before. A mistake should be a teacher, not an attacker. A mistake is a lesson, not a loss. A mistake is a necessary temporary detour. Don't be afraid to get back up again, to try again, to love again, and to dream again. Don't let a hard lesson harden your heart. Life's best lessons are often at the worst times and at the worst mistakes. There will be times where everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong, and you feel like you'll be stuck in that rut forever, but you won't. Mistakes will come easy, but the transformation to success will not be as easy as making the mistake. Making a mistake is better than pretending to be perfect. Don't place your mistakes over your head. Their weight may crush you. Place them below your feet so that they can rise you up and you'll be able to view the horizons from them. Don't let mistakes from the past define you, because you'll be missing out on the future and who you are yet to become. No matter how slow you are from learning from your mistakes, you are still progressing and learning. If your mistake is that big, how much bigger and greater will the side of your success be? No matter how much your mind tries to take you back to your mistakes or your past where you made your previous mistakes, maybe, just maybe, its best intentions is for you to not repeat those mistakes again and learn from your mistakes. We have Bethany Hamilton, for example. At the age of 13, she went through something undescribable. But she didn't let that specific thing that happened to her define her. She didn't let that specific thing overcome her. It didn't let her go into fear. She decided that she wasn't going to let that little thing overcome her. So she still did what she loved, despite the fear, and she didn't let her past hold her captive. Your attention goes to where your mistakes are, and if your attention is in the past, then you'll be stuck in the past forever.
and be trying to get yourself better. But how can you do that when your eyes will be stuck in the past and you can't be able to reform yourself and recover from every single mistake that you make? Mistakes are key. Mistakes are important in life. When you make a mistake, it just shows that you are human. You are not your past, neither are you your mistake, neither are you your failure. You are not even who you were this morning or who you were yesterday. Mistakes are capable of turning you into something that you have never seen before. We are all capable of reinventing ourselves, and we're supposed to look forward to the best. In the future, you are who you commit to become. Look forward to the new you. Your best is yet to come for yourself. The only way for you to be successful is from your mistakes. It's just to forgive yourself. If you don't forgive yourself, then you'll be stuck in the past forever, leaving you in the burden of your past. But once you let it go and forgive yourself, you will feel the weight lift from your shoulders, and you will feel so relieved as you walk away from your past mistakes and go into your new life. So don't let your mistakes hold you captive. Thank you.
Tammy Oyebanji is a student at Dartford Community School, UK. She's an author, youth speaker, and a multi-instrumentalist. She's a member of the Kent Youth County Council. She'll be speaking on Explore. Please make welcome Tammy Oyebanji.
Explore. One of the many wise words I've grown up hearing from my mum is, don't try, don't know. I believe in life one should always explore, find new interests, new connections, new and better ways to get things done. One might think you like something, but one could always find something that you love even more with exploring. Exploring is all about being curious. What we live in is such a big, beautiful place, and the closer one looks, one will probably find something that you love. Excellence revolves around having a constant thirst to learn and quest for knowledge. One has to explore to find schools or university. You have to explore to find a job. In the virtual world, one has to explore to find valuable knowledge on the internet. Exploring is closely linked to never giving up, looking for ways to make an impact. Walt Disney was the founder of Disney. Disney is such a big company, so big it is worth $333 billion. But did you know Walt Disney was directed about 300 times? He didn't give up though, and that's why we have Disney today. Explore your creative side, go on walks, paint and write, meet new people and make new friends, look at different cultures and explore different cities, different countries even. I've been fortunate enough to have travelled to so many different countries. I've seen the snow of Canada and kangaroos of Australia, and that's all from wanting to explore. Coronavirus has changed the world, and it's very hard to explore physically now, as we have to quarantine. I live in England, and we are under another lockdown currently. Exploring physically is a bit difficult now, but one has to explore online. Some examples are taking classes in different subjects, exploring and learning new languages, and going where it's safe to go. For example, I can go from my local park time to time, appreciate nature. You have to love this earth. The world is such a beautiful place that needs to be explored. My journey with exploring. Everyone has their own story. It can be as tall as a skyscraper or as short as a razor. Imagine if Thomas Edison didn't explore a little bit further, we probably wouldn't have the light bulb now. In the national lockdown, I've explored new foods. I researched the recipes and tried cooking them, and when I tasted them, I loved it. I loved the way the spices gave a whole new flavour. Imagine, if I didn't explore, probably I wouldn't have found my favourite meal. In lockdown, I've explored a lot of new hobbies like stock trading. I took interest in it because I was bored. It proved to be very profitable. Looking at new things teaches you that you're capable of more things. When we see something new, we see it has a potential for rewarding us in some way. This potential that lies in new things motivates us to explore our environment for rewards. That's the experience I had with stocks. Later Tuesday said, when you let go of something I am, I become something I might be. When you put your brain to new things, you experience new situations and force it to really think. This stimulates creativity, which eventually rubs off in other areas of your life. As a result, you begin to think in new light. Probably from this, there's been something on your mind. Should I explore that thing? Well, go for it and achieve your dreams. Exploration gives us the sense that anything is possible. Exploration leads us to knowledge and understanding, and means that you make the world a better place. Many people have tried to leave the world a better place for future generations. Exploration is the only way we can do that. All too often we let the fear of the unknown stop us, but pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones is actually good for us. Trying new things not only helps us vanquish those fears, but allows us to expand our minds and learn both about new things and ourselves. Thank you for listening.
No, 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 no. Oh, yeah. I'm in chains, you're in chains too. Our uniforms and you are uniforms too. I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too, Mr. Jailer. Oh, I have fears, you have fears too. I'll die, but you self will die too. Life is beautiful, don't you think so too, Mr. Jailer? I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let he who is without sin be the first to cast the stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, man, you suppress all my strategies.
Let's learn the second game for today. Are you ready? Let's explore Nigeria. So the question is, in which state is the Erin Ijesha waterfalls found? A. Lagos, B. Ogun, C. Oyo, and D. Osun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the answer is D. Osun.
Folajimi Oyefeso is a year 10 student at Meadow Hall. He's going to be speaking on the burden of being firstborn. Please make welcome Folajimi Oyefeso.
Family. In my family, we consist of 4. My dad, my mom, my brother, and I. I always hear people talk about how being the firstborn is so great and how, oh, you're so lucky to be the firstborn. But little they don't know that being the firstborn is not all bright and rosy as it seems. My name is Folajimi Oyefeso, and I'm here to talk to you today about the challenges faced by the firstborn. Birth order tends to have an impression on an individual's personality and lifestyle. We firstborns tend to be more reliable, cautious, achievers, and especially controlling. Since we're the first children, we are raised up with instinct and trial and error. So therefore, parents are strict on rules and neurotic about the minutiae of daily life, in turn making us firstborns perfectionists, always striving and making great efforts to please our parents. As a child, I experienced these challenges as well. When my brother first came about, it was a surprise to me, but I didn't take it very lightly. I was always called to come and take care of him. My name was always resonating around the house. Fola, come and do this, Fola, come and do that. We usually got into fights over some toys that were handed down from me to him without my knowing. And when I want to play with them, we usually argue and fight over them. Eventually, my mom would come and intervene and let him have it and tell me that I'm a big boy now and I shouldn't be complaining about toys. Eventually, this got me very frustrated and I started to get jealous of him because he always had his way. Eventually, the fights, the arguments, everything, they stopped. Another challenge I had to face was being a role model towards my brother. I always had to act accordingly and watch what I was saying and watching what I was doing to make sure that I wasn't influencing him in any wrong way. This put a lot of unnecessary pressure on me because anytime he was around, I always had to act like an adult. So there wasn't much time for me to act like a kid, like I was. We firstborns tend to have a fear of failure because we think that whatever we accomplish is never good enough and always has to please our parents. Therefore, we dread making missteps and always tend to stick to the straight and narrow and live by the book. This makes us inflexible, always hesitant to change, and do not like stepping out of our comfort zones. Due to this inflexibility, once change comes about, we firstborns tend to have difficulties adjusting to them. Obviously, these challenges didn't last forever. There were definitely solutions to them, such as just because a newborn has come doesn't mean we firstborns have to be burdened with unnecessary pressure and expectations. All we need is a little responsibility given to us to take care of them, and then from then on, we'll continue building up characteristics such as kindness, leadership, responsibility, and more. You should also give your child some praise for a job well done. If you've seen him taking care of younger ones, you should praise him, and this will instill a sense of accomplishment, and he'll be more positive towards younger ones. Firstborn challenges do not seem like something to be worried about or concerned about, but occasionally they could because it can affect sibling relationship and has a great impact on a child's personality. Thank you.
Kashope Arifanyon is a 14-year-old from Lagos, Nigeria. She enjoys reading, particularly fantasy and sci-fi. She hopes to study something involving history in the future. Her talk is centered around how she views her relationship with our culture, specifically the general disconnection she feels from it. She'll be speaking on the cultural identity crisis. Please make welcome Kashope Arifanyon.
I am a member of Gen Z. We have been raised on the internet and social media. The internet is where the world is heading, and we have an intrinsic understanding of it. We have greater and easier paths of communication than ever before. We are global citizens. I think this is a good thing. However, this has what I consider to be a pretty negative side effect. My name is Kashope Arifanyon. I'm 14 years old, and history has always been my favorite subject. I've always loved it. So during the first quarantine, I decided to do a history project. I sat down and thought about the things I did not know, the things I wasn't taught in school. At this point, it's important to note that I go to a school that follows the British curriculum. And I love my school, and I'm glad that I go there. However, they taught me the history of faraway places. I learned about ancient Greece and the French Revolution and William the Conqueror. Last time, we went in depth about the alliance systems in early 20th century, 19th century Europe, and Weimar Germany. These are things that I have no relation to. I was born and raised in Lagos, and I've lived here my entire life. And while planning this project, I realized I knew nothing of it. This is sad and depressing, but it's not the problem. The problem is I didn't realize it any earlier. I know more about Western politics and social issues than I do my own. I, like most people my age, spend the majority of my time on the internet. Especially now with COVID, I spend the majority of my time online. And these different platforms have allowed me to find my interests, be comfortable, and educate myself on matters I would otherwise have no knowledge of. They have shaped significant parts of who I am. My personality, my humor, and my understanding of the world has been formed by the internet. However, parts of the internet I'm on are overwhelmingly Western, and therefore my understanding of the world is overwhelmingly Western. Daily, I get drawn into conversations about the UK's distinct lack of air conditioners, and about how weird Americans are about high school sports. I read people's arguments about the privatization of the NHS and the Confederate flag and the federal minimum wage. These are things I'm glad I know. However, because they're the only things I encounter, I know more about foreign politics and social issues than I do domestic ones. I know that Republicans and Tories are conservative, while Democrats and Labour are liberal. I know their key issues. I can't say the same for APC and PDP, the main political parties in Nigeria. My cultural points of reference are almost entirely removed from my actual culture. Now, I'm not saying that we should stick to our separate cultures and not expel others. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that our things are connected nowadays. On the contrary, I think it's wonderful. However, it's important to have a distinct cultural identity outside of online communities. The worst bit is that I know it's not a problem unique to me. While my case may be exacerbated by the fact that I'm a bit of an introvert, many people my age that come from a similar socioeconomic background tend to identify more closely with Western culture than they do theirs. Now, it's perfectly normal to identify with more than one culture. However, these Western influences have caused many of us to subconsciously feel ashamed of our culture. Our food and our clothes are understandably considered weird by people who aren't familiar with them, and that sentiment has transferred to younger generations. Nigerian, or more specifically in my case, Yoruba and Igbo culture, deserves to be celebrated despite their many flaws. As a generation, it's our job to protect our language and our culture. We're losing one of the things that matter the most, things that make us important, and parts of our identity that are unique. Thank you very much.
Is a brilliant 14-year-old Year 9 student at Meadow Hall. She is a young biomedical engineer aspirant. When she isn't maintaining her leadership roles and her sports on honor roll, she enjoys cooking, reading, and playing her violin. She's an activist and stands for equality. Please make welcome Tunu Olubero as she speaks about I am not your stereotype.
I want an opportunity to become my own person. No stereotypes, not a single assumption about me, no tags, and certainly no labels. Unfortunately, these only exist as illogical dreams in my head. My reality as Black and Nigerian is that my dreams might just end up as dreams forever because society has decided to place her false expectations about me right above my head. This is how it has been for so long. The unwritten rule, the stigma against every single Nigerian that they are uneducated, illiterate, fraudsters, and poor. A wise man once said, stereotypes are a bit like air, invisible but always present. There just is no escape route to any of the horrendous stereotypes Nigerians encounter on a daily basis. Imagine if this was how your life was. Even the tiniest detail about you already assumed. So if someone thought you looked like a thief, that would be their only expectation of you. Whenever you walked by, they would treat you like a thief, which you aren't. They would continue repeating the same thing over and over and over, enough to make one actually see themselves as that untrue stereotype. That is just plain mean, annoying in fact, because every single day you are judged, but in this case, you're judged not for what you can do, but by what society thinks you should be able to do. Society has snatched from so many Nigerians the opportunity to prove themselves, to earn an income, or to even achieve anything, something at all. The numerous opportunities society has deprived herself of, simply because she created a fantasy, a preconceived notion about Nigerians, and chose to run with it. There are always those awful experiences you hear about others when they encounter these horrific stereotypes. My first experience with being stereotyped happened when I was 9. I was on a family vacation. My siblings, along with my mom and I, decided to explore the places nearby a hotel. So as my mom and I waited at the front of a hotel, awaiting my siblings, we noticed a taxi right in front of us that had a pop tire. So we signaled to the driver, trying to attract his attention towards his pop tire. We were left dumbfounded as he threw at us a tattered $5 bill. And he yelled at our very faces to leave. It felt like I had a knife ripped out of my body. The only thought rushing through my 9-year-old mind was, what just happened? Did he assume we didn't have any money because we were black? My mind drifted back to the painful experience at the airport. And at that moment, I realized that I had once again been stereotyped. I walked up to the taxi driver and I told him I was only trying to inform him about his pop tire. And I made sure to tell him that I definitely did not need his tattered $5 bill. The guilt on his face was discernible. He knew what he had done, created a preconceived notion about me, and he chose to run with it. Frankly, I think my encounter at the airport 15 hours prior to meeting the taxi driver inspired my courageous attitude. My family and I had just landed in Los Angeles, and we had picked up our bags and every other thing we needed. All we had left to do was go past immigration and would finally be able to get our hotel. So we stepped up to the counter and proceeded to hand in our green passports. Instantly, the officer's face turned sour. I was confused. A train of questions followed us. He kept asking us why we came to Los Angeles, if we had enough money to cover our trip, or whether we had plans to run away from Nigeria. The series of questions all hinted to whether we had plans of running away from home. My 9-year-old me just thought they were doing their job. Only now do I realize that they were not doing their job. Other people of other nationalities were there, but they only chose to search our bags. They only chose to ask us thousands of questions. He pulled us aside and instructed us to wait for him to get back to us. We became the center of attention. Everyone was looking at us and pointing. What had we done to deserve this? As the officer returned to his table, it dawned on me that the passport the person showed was a red one. I expected him to start interrogating the man, and I had subconsciously created a spot for the young man to stand, since I already assumed he would be asked to stay by our side. I didn't expect that to happen. The man was not asked a single question. The officer had plastered onto his face the brightest smile, and he told him, "Welcome to Los Angeles." Confused definitely could describe what was happening. I began to tug at my dad's shirt, and when he looked at me, I asked, why did they let him go and not us? He only patted my head in response to my dismay. I now realized that a part of him had expected that to happen. 5 seconds later, the same officer walked back to us, and he began to search all of our bags. He scattered all of our neatly packed items. My 3-year-old brother was in tears as our bags were torn open and scattered. We were being assessed, and I remember thinking we had been arrested. My parents were downcast, my older sister was down, and I, regretful. They had searched our bags, questioned us, gotten our hotel reservation information. They kept us for a whole 3 hours. There were other people from different countries, but they only gifted us with their special attention. We were the only ones from our plane that were yet to leave the airport. I kept seeing people hand in their passports, and they were gifted with generic greeting. "Welcome to Los Angeles, have a fun time." To my utmost disgust, the passenger I had recognized that was let to go without being questioned was given express clearance on the perception that everything was fine and that nothing was wrong. And there we were, pulled aside. 3 hours after we were done, we met the same guy stranded at the parking lot, waiting for someone to give him a helping hand. The man from Central Europe that the officer thought was okay ended up having a struggle. It was my family that had to give the guy from Central Europe a lift. He had no money, and we ended up having to give him a $100 bill so he could feed himself. The The person that was supposed to give the young man a ride ended up bailing on him. And the poor man didn't even have enough money to afford public transportation. But there we were, able to reserve a car to come pick us up. That's the ill of stereotyping. Once you present to them the Nigerian passport, it's assumed that you are hustling to migrate illegally. They assume you are low on funds. This is my reality. This is also the reality of practically every single Nigerian. A world whereby I am assumed to be unable to afford a family vacation, or that I am in dire need of a tattered $5 bill. I'm tagged as the inferior one, the incapable one. My dream is non-existent. Queen Rania of Jordan once said, "We shouldn't judge people through the prism of our own stereotypes." Don't make an assumption about me because of what you think Nigerians are supposed to be able to afford or how you think Nigerians are supposed to be able to act. At the end of the day, home is home. And it's not everyone that's interested in overstaying their visa or every Nigerian that is poor or dubious. In as much as there are issues about Nigeria, there are many Nigerians that live decently and are quite comfortable. So, do not judge me based off of your own stereotype. I am not your stereotype. I am Olugbero Oluwatundominu. What an amazing time it has been. The speakers have touched on so many diverse topics. The underestimated generation, second best, being the first child, stereotypes. I want you right now to describe today's event in one word. Simply go on to www.slido.com and put in the pin that is displayed on the screen and share your comments. While we do that, I would like to invite our head of school, Mrs. Olayinka Abafisoye, for closing remarks.
So we wrap it up on this platform. This stage has been a very interesting one. Well done to the principal, the heads, the leaders, the staff, our parents, and of course to our lovely students. You have put in so much and we can see the leader in you, all budding and emerging. You have indeed made us proud by being worthy brand ambassadors. I have learned so much from your passionate and heartfelt stories. And even as a parent, I have a few things to take home. Meadow Hall is not just an academic citadel. And in spite of our excellent academic achievements, we celebrate multiple intelligences of our children, bearing in mind that their natural talents and potentials can make them the stars that they are in their unique giftings. Thank you to our ever-supportive, forward-thinking MD CEO, Dr. Mrs. Kende Wani, the ELT, the Principal, Mrs. Okelwo, the VP Pastoral, Mr. Feswa, the VP Academics, Mrs. Odubono, the DOS Junior School Lekki, Miss Rita Ekwe-Young, to our teachers and our very esteemed parents for your usual support. I'd also want to thank all the participating ASENC schools. Thank you very much for making it. I would also want to use this medium to specially thank Mr. Gbenga Samuel for this initiative and also for all his efforts. Thank you very much, everyone. May God bless you all.